Welcome into the Fantasy Football Lab. I'm Arlen. This is Nate. We're on the day of football, finally. What's up, man?
What is up, dude? We're here. It's week one. So many stories, so many ways for us to figure out if we're idiots or if we're geniuses here in the first couple of days. So we're super excited, and we are glad you all are all.
As far as it goes right now, at the time of the recording, we're all geniuses. We made great decisions in our drafts. And all these rookies that I have in our chopped league, that I have 5 or 6 running backs that are rookies, because why not? They all worked out.
That's why you draft into a guillotine league, right?
I thought
Those
it'd be
sure
fun.
things, man.
Those sure things. You want in a guillotine league, you really want to get players that will develop later in the season.
Right.
Is the strategy, I think.
Mark it down. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah,
I got so caught up in
your
your strategy that I started drafting rookies late in the draft.
Yeah, you know what? They were going fast, so I don't blame you. All right, today we're recording right before kickoff of the first game, Philadelphia through. That's pretty much going to be that they're going through Dallas right now. They're going to destroy them, I think. But we're going to take a time machine and actually tell you exactly what's going to happen so that we sound brilliant afterward, because everything that we say is absolutely going to happen, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, before we dive that far into it, first, a word from our intro. There she is.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Lab.
All right. Well, we've traveled through time. Here we go. We've already seen everything that will happen. So the Eagles versus Cowboys. What surprised you most about that game? First of all, obviously, we all know that the Eagles won. So let's just get one thing right.
I was blown away that they won. I didn't realize that it was so clear. I had this was my upset alert pick. I don't know. The Eagles pulled through, though. They held them off. It's amazing.
They're pretty great. What players surprised you the most?
One thing that we weren't sure about what was going to happen here was in the running back department here for the Cowboys. I was really surprised that Miles Sanders had a role, right? Javonte Williams, I think, was going to be our RB1 starter, but Miles Sanders was in quite a bit, splitting some of those reps, so he might have some value.
We might have to say a few times along the way, in case these are shorts, that we are recording before the game. When we traveled into the future, we saw that Sanders had a pretty decent role, and that Javonte Williams did, however, show some signs of life, and maybe he's not as bad of a pick as we thought.
Fair enough.
I don't know. But the thing that shocked me the most when I traveled into the future and saw this game was that Devonta Smith actually outscored A.J. Brown.
Yeah, that, A.J. Brown, to me, he's always been like the least sexy pick in the draft as you're going in out of the top tier wide receivers that you're getting in rounds 1 and 2. And so the reason for that is that that Devonta Smith's been there for a few years. And so it is a bit of a surprise that he overcame in game 1. But, we've seen games where Devonta Smith has kind of been the 1B or even the star.
He's always been someone hard to sell, A.J. Brown in Dynasty. And I feel that there's players that should be owned before him, should be ranked higher than him, that have that higher ceiling. I get that part, but there's so many players that people would rather have than A.J. Brown in Dynasty that aren't fair to him, because I think that skill set, he's up there. He's not going to hit the top tier, but he's right under there. But I think that's what it is. In Dynasty, people just don't see the lotto ticket with him, but they see a great player, obviously. But today, yeah, when we traveled in time, we saw Devonta Smith took a larger share, or it had a couple of runs that just went all the way, and something ranked him up above A.J. Brown, and he finished above him.
I'll tell you one thing that did not surprise me about this game at all. Lo and behold, the Eagles can run the ball. They can dominate the running game, and extra little bit of non-surprise, Jalen Hurts did steal a little bit of the touchdown action from our boy Saquon.
Oh, of course. I think that one's fair. Dak Prescott, I think, on the other end of the ball, he underwhelmed versus where people, like the truthers that took Dak Prescott, were not as happy with him this week. but the combination with that performance of A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith far outshined the combination of points between CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. And George Pickens owners are freaking out right now because he didn't live up to all the hype in week 1, but stick with him.
Yeah, I think unlike the Eagles, a wide receiver room, there's a clear 1 and a trying to figure out how to be a 2 situation happening in the wide receiver room for the Cowboys. And what that means for us, though, is that CD is going to CD. So we're excited about that, no matter who his quarterback is going to be.
Yeah, CD's wide receivers. All right, the over-under was 47, and you were spot on when you called either the over or under. What was it that you called?
I did call. What was the over?
47.
Oh yeah, that is right. I was right on the board with my over there.
Yeah. So the Eagles, we'll go Cowboys first. 20 points. Most games they would be in it, but they got beat by 11 points. Eagles 31, Cowboys 20. Didn't think they were going to get their butt kicked that much, but when you trade Parsons away and you have no defense, that's the only reason your players were able to score against the Eagles at all, because you had to throw it the whole time to try to catch up and get back in the game.
Yeah, thank goodness for CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson.
That's exactly it. Ferguson ended up being, he's the A.J. Brown of tight ends. Well, actually, no, that's insulting A.J. Brown, but he is a sneaky player in drafts this year if you grabbed him. I think Ferguson he has a potential to be a pretty big player, not in the top 5 or so, but to be a consistent, you're no longer going to have to stream the position when maybe you thought you would with him. And he proved that week 1.
Listen, if you didn't in the draft grab one of the top 3 sure things in the tight end department, it's really a dart throw for how the rest of those tight ends are going to do, to be honest. So, people are going to argue up and down who 4, 5, 6, 7 are. Jake Ferguson is a name that really should be considered up that high.
There we go. Well, that was your lesson for today. The recap of the game that we saw before it even kicked off. Hopefully we can even post this beforehand, or this is looking extra silly. But we've got more coming this week. We've got a couple episodes coming this week where we have some stash targets. We also have going into the weekend some stash targets, some general players that we think that you might be able to throw on the end of the bench, and maybe you'll be sneaking ahead of people on the waivers. We also the season's starting, so we got tips and tricks we've been so focused on drafts that there's tips and reminders for people, especially with a Thursday and a Friday night game this week. You want to be able to start the players that use your flex, I guess. This is what the sneak peek, this is the type of stuff we're talking about. Like a flex player, you want to not just be your third of a running back or wide receiver, your third favorite of them. It's the people who play the latest. Get your early guys into those positions, and we'll talk more about those type. Oh yeah, see, great call. We'll talk more about those types of tips in one of the episodes coming out this week too.
I love the self-love you gave yourself there. It's amazing.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been real. Anything else you're throwing in, Nate, from this wild Thursday night game that we saw in the future?
I've confused myself so many times in this episode that
it's been rough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hope for the best. Anyway, enjoy the season, everybody. Jumping right in.